I was this is totally off topic, but I was thinking about the Simpsons came up in my mind right before I called you, and I just had this thought of like, wouldn't it be funny if like someone went to a funeral and the eulogy, the guy who got up to do the eulogy, just said things about that person that are universal for everyone, like, yeah, he really liked music, and
He was born.
he enjoyed food. Yeah, he
He
really
lived.
enjoyed food.
He lived how he lived. He breathed.
Okay, so welcome to Famous When I'm Dead, a podcast where professional artists hand you the tools to thrive while you're still alive. I'm your host, Sam King Davis, artist, designer, teacher, creative entrepreneur. I like to have cereal, I like music. I live a good life. Uh, and today I want to introduce you to a guy I didn't do much research on, but I know that you're a storyboard artist. We keep it professional around here. Um, yeah, so storyboard artist for the likes of The Simpsons, Family Guy, Frozen, Zootopia, and probably a bunch that I'm missing. So we'll talk more about that. Uh, Mr. Ben Lane, everybody.
Hello.
What is the Wheeze? What's that?
Wheeze is a childhood nickname.
Ah.
It was my dad was the grandmaster of nicknaming people, and I've had Weasel since as long as I can remember. My brother is Scrub. My sister is Pooh. Her husband's Pumpkin. These are all my dad's doing. So, if you're loved, you have a nickname.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, it's funny. My grandpa did that too. He died before I was born, but he had apparently a nickname for everyone. Isn't that the praying mantis lady? He just had like everybody had a name. I think his were probably a little more mean though, like Fatso and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
he had friends that you know. He'd talk about his friend Muss, and so I thought the guy's name was Muss. Well, Muss was short for muscles. And I don't know how long I don't know if that's one that my dad come up with, but and then there was another friend of his, everyone called Fit. And of course, one day I finally decided, okay, Dad, what's fit mean? Well, fit mean, and I guess the guy was from Alabama or something, and he was telling a story about how these two guys got in a fit, and they fit and they fit, and trying to fight. And of course, he once you make a mistake like that in front of peers,
yeah, forget it. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. My wife grew up with a bunch of brothers, and they never let her live stuff down. Hey, remember that time when you were 7 years old and you put super glue in your eye or whatever? So
yeah, you're loved.
Yeah, I wish she felt that way about it. I think I think that's kind of how they bond or whatever, but I think they're pretty harsh, They're pretty harsh on it.
I think that's just a coping mechanism of that generation. You laughed at misery. I mean, everything was miserable at that then. So you had to laugh your way through that stuff.
So what do we laugh at now? I laugh at people like losing their minds over social justice warrior issues.
Oh, we got plenty to laugh at now. I mean, Christ,
Oh,
4 years of plenty to laugh at.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of laughs. Yeah, and I got a lot of laughs out of that too. Did I
Oh,
show you my? Let me show you my. The guests are probably getting tired of seeing this, but I usually reuse my clay, but I can't bring myself to. Can't bring myself to
you
tear it
stopped
apart.
short. You stopped short of committing. I see you didn't want to do the bottom half.
No, I got I had him as Jabba the Hutt. So I take the picture and then I put it in Procreate and I put it, I merge it with Jabba the Hutt, and so it's Trump the Hutt. Yeah, it was a good one.
Oh, that guy was fodder for sure.
So why don't we start by talking just about kind of how you got started, or like when you knew you wanted to be an artist, and then like what you had to kind of get through and how you got through that.
They like many people, I think I had drew as a kid. My influence was I'm the youngest of four, and my oldest brother liked to draw. And I remember looking at his sketchbooks as a kid, and should I look at you or should I look at the camera? I feel like
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll blur your face out for the whole interview anyway, so.
Probably a good idea.
The beard absorbs all the light, so I can't really see what direction you're.
It absorbs food and coffee too. It's great. So he had these sketchbooks. When I look back, they were obviously like mostly school assignments, like he was drawing a paper bag, but he also had some doodles, and I would trace those doodles, and that was the start. And he introduced me to Bloom County, the comic strip, and my hometown. Eventually, the guy who did Garfield set up shop in my hometown.
Tom Davis, is that right?
Jim Davis.
Jim Davis, yeah.
And he had his studio was just right outside of my town, and that kind of already had an interest in art, but then my mom saw that, oh, you can get a career in art, and so she was very supportive, not as best as she could, we definitely a blue collar family, so being the artist was kind of the odd man out.
Where did you grow up?
Indiana, Muncie, Indiana.
Okay.
If you ever watched Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, a couple times, yeah.
They bag on Muncie a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the town that show makes fun of. You know that one?
Well, was it Jerry, Gary, Larry Gergich character?
Oh yeah.
He has a timeshare in Muncie, so that just tells you.
Okay.
But yeah, it's grew up Muncie. Ball State was is there. That's the college that Dave Letterman went to, and once I got to I did well in art in high school, but I had really uninspiring art teachers.
Yeah.
And so I knew I liked art. I mean, I was on the student council and always did the signs and stuff like that. But once I got out of high school, I was like, well, art didn't look like all that much fun, because all I kind of knew was printmaking and making mobiles and really lame crap that I'm not saying it is lame, but it didn't appeal to me. And shortly after that, I did caricatures at a theme park in
which one?
Opryland, USA.
Oh wow. That sounds like one of those weird places like Branson, Missouri.
It is. Opryland is no more because of Branson, Missouri.
Ah.
The Branson kind of took the crowds that Opryland used to appeal to, and
it's like the hillbilly version of Las Vegas.
Yes. Opryland started because of the Grand Ole Opry, and they built a theme park, but it was really limited in its space. It could, it had a freeway on one side, had a river on the other, so they could never really expand the park, and that was sort of its demise. So if they wanted to add new rides, they would have to tear down something and build it, and so they kept upping the price, and eventually it just couldn't sustain itself. So it closed. It closed in the early 90s or late 90s, mid 90s. But yeah, so I did caricatures there for a couple of years, and I met some people who were pursuing animation in college, and that really piqued my interest. And so that sort of dictated my school choice and career choice after that point.
Which college did you go to?
It's Columbus College of Art and Design. It's in Columbus, Ohio.
And so you got, like, after that, you started meeting people in the industry, or you just got right into animation after that?
They had the big appeal to CCAD was that they, at that time, Disney Animation was sending representatives there to scout for talent, and that really spoke to me. So I got in, and I went through the interview process with them like 2 years in a row, and I always did well. Always got like a 101 interview with them. Well, for 2 years in a row, they ultimately end up picking someone else. So I didn't quite land the job I wanted after graduation, but I did eventually, work my way into Disney. Just took a little longer than I expected.
What was the first job that you had at Disney?
Didn't come till later, but working on as a story artist on Zootopia.
Okay. Huh.
So that was 2012, I think. 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought the Simpsons. So you got the Simpsons gig after that, huh?
I have left and gone back to Simpsons a few times. I started Simpsons in '97, so that would have been season 9 of the show.
Okay. So was there any particular issues that are like kind of challenges that you had to overcome? I mean, was it difficult to kind of piece together your income, or was it all pretty, did you kind of slide right in? Like, did you have a full-time job at Disney right away, or was it piecemeal, or what?
Well, I wasn't at Disney for too long. I was only at Disney for 2 years. And like I said, that kind of came later. Most of my animation career was at working on The Simpsons. I was just talking to someone the other day about this. I've lost track of how many years I've been on there, but it's probably at least a dozen or so, and then bouncing around other studios.
So you were a freelancer then, yeah?
No.
Oh.
It was full-time work.
Okay.
It's pretty commonplace if you work in animation that you bounce around. The Simpsons are actually a unique beast that they've been around as long as they have.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you go to another studio, and it's likely you're going to work with other people who at one point or another had already worked at Simpsons and then left and went somewhere else. So
yeah.
Everyone has worked there at some point, it seems like.
Yeah, how many people worked? I mean, I guess it changed through the years, but what was like kind of the average number of people working there?
I'd say a couple hundred.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was you got, they have a bunch of, to be honest, I would have to probably find out what it's like nowadays, because their process of animation was a little different from most productions, where they would do a storyboard and then they would do what's called character layout, which is what I did. And character layout, there would be a team of 4 or 5 3 or 4 character layout artists per show, and there'd be 4 or 5 shows in production at any given point. And no, there really isn't any other TV animated program that does character layout. Most TV productions do what's called storyboard, plussed up storyboards. Simpsons is kind of working towards that. They've been kind of their storyboards are almost like what I used to do as a character layout artist now, back then. So I don't know if they have the character layout staff that they used to have. But yeah, you got, a staff of background designers, prop designers, timers, character layout, background artists. So you have the designers, and then you have a background artist per show. So yeah, it's a lot of people.
And I remember, I think was it Dom Bianchi that came to ISCA, and he talked about working on Family Guy. And he was saying that it takes a whole year to, like, once the concept is sort of written down and the sketching starts, it takes a whole year for that to get on screen.
Yeah, we're there. We're probably and Dom worked on Family Guy, you said, right?
Yeah.
I think I know who that is. I worked there for a year. And they also, the writing staff was with Family Guy. Simpsons, the writing staff is actually in a different location.
Oh, that seems weird.
By the time we actually get the script and start working on it, it's about 6 to 7 months before it airs. So let me try to cite an example. Like, I started in November on what was going to be the Halloween episode for the following year. So yeah, it's a little less than a little less than a year. But the Halloween episodes tend to be a bigger show, so they tend to start those. They tend to give them a little more work time. But yeah, it's not quite a year, I think, when Simpsons gets a script.
How long has The Simpsons been on now? How many seasons?
How old are you?
36.
You were 4 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah.
32 years, huh?
It's I believe 1989, I think, is when the Christmas episode with Santa's Little Helper, I think that's when that aired.
Oh man, I remember how terribly drawn those were too.
Oh, it's rough.
It was bad. It's even unrecognizable almost.
I probably shouldn't say this, so bleep me out here. But there's actually an episode that was finished that was so bad they never aired it.
Oh my gosh.
And they redid it, and so. But yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I have seen that episode, and yeah, it was pretty bad. But they, but before it even aired, that episode aired, they had the Tracy Ullman bumpers, which is before a Tracy Ullman show would cut to a commercial. They showed these little, 30-second, 10-second long Simpsons shorts.
Oh. And
that's how it got started. And Dave Silverman worked on those. He and I think Wes Archer worked on those. And Dave Silverman's still on the production today.
Wow. So what's your main work now?
I am a storyboard artist. So we work digitally. Work with Toon Boom's Storyboard Pro. They give me a script, and I meet with them like on a Monday with the director and supervising director, and go over any questions I have, and then I'm given 2 weeks to board out a third of the show.
Okay. So you're doing that for Family Guy now?
No, Simpsons.
Oh, still Simpsons. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Should I break down my career timeline for you?
No, well, I don't know. I don't think it's important.
Well, I'll go. Just say it was a block of time on Simpsons.
Okay.
Then 2010, I went to Family Guy for a year, and then went back to Simpsons for a couple of years. Then to Disney for a couple of years. Then back to Simpsons. Or no, I'm sorry. Uh, After Disney, we moved back here, so I went to Ben 10. Went to Cartoon Network for worked from here, worked remotely, but I was on Ben 10 for a few years, and now I'm back to Simpsons.
Okay. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back in a minute or so. Most creatives get pretty burnt out and frustrated with all of the administrative tasks that go with being a professional artist. Taxes, accounting, client relations, shipping and handling. It just drains our energy and it takes away precious time for us to spend in the studio. That is a sigh of relief. I have good news for you. I've been working with a team of artists and other industry professionals to create a new kind of online learning platform and community for artists and students. This platform is designed to bring you a passive income, meaning that all you need to do is shoot the course and the money will roll in as long as the course is up on our page. There are a lot of other exciting innovations that we're going to work into this platform, which I do not have time to talk about now, but if you are interested in Sketcharium, go ahead and pop on over to sketcharium.com. That's sketch, ARIUM.com. Fill out the proposal form and we'll get back to you right away. Welcome back. Okay, so I do want to ask you a question. What's the worst trouble you've ever been in?
I'm a good boy. You're talking about like with law or just in general?
Yeah, just the most despicable thing you've ever done.
Oh, I don't want to even touch that one. I've never been a troublemaker. I have another sibling who's I guess he wasn't the black sheep, but definitely was the one that pushed my parents' buttons.
Yeah.
And so I think watching I'm 6 years younger than he, and I think I observed that's causing a lot of problems. The way he interacts with my mom isn't really. It seems problematic, So I think I always just sort of had a mentality of don't push buttons, don't rub people the wrong way, try to get along, I have friends from high school, and I always thought I think one of the reasons we're friends is we all of us have older siblings who were sort of troublemakers. So
yeah, I did.
I think we had this like unspoken bond. That we kind of know what it's like to live in fear.
Yeah,
I mean, they were not they're, our siblings weren't terrorizing, but I think we all witnessed what a troublemaker can be like and the pain they wrought. So
yeah. I could definitely relate to that. My older brother, he's 5 years older, and he was from a different father, and I don't know, I never met the father, but he must have been a wild guy because my brother was just insane when we were growing up. Some of the stuff that he did, always like street fighter, always getting in fights and trouble with the law and stuff. So,
well, you have a calm demeanor, so I wonder if that's a result of that.
I think so, yeah. I think that if I would have pushed him too much, he probably would have thrown me out the window. He would have thrown me out the window more than he already threw me out the window.
I have occasionally, I will, my brother, when we were kids, he would wake me up with just hit me with a pillow,
Just to wake you up, yeah.
Just to wake me up, and I will on occasion still wake up jolted.
Post-traumatic
I just got
stress.
hit by a pillow. So not the most traumatic thing I know a person can experience, but it's just funny that those sort of memories will linger.
There's a skit right there. You go back 20 years in history and you go to the psychotherapist, and it's your traumatic experience getting hit with a pillow.
That would get laughed out of the office, I think. That seems pretty weenie.
They'd have a drug for it by then. So what are some of the, like, is there particular kind of principles? I guess the structure is kind of already there when you're working for a big studio, but is there any kind of principles that you use to keep your own practice going, or that you had to use while you're in the studio to kind of keep your flow going?
Just, I guess I always be willing to learn. I mean, I think I really took to the animation industry when I got there, and just being surrounded by so many other talented people, and that's actually how I sort of, when I first started, on Simpsons, like I said, I did caricature layout, so we were handed storyboards to work off of, and I was always there were a couple artists whose boards I always thought were so cool to look at, and I already had an interest in storyboarding, but I really had no experience at it. So that, after a few years at Simpsons, I started kind of working my way to a storyboard position. Unfortunately, at Simpsons, there was only just like a few spots, and the guys that did it back then were pretty settled into their position, so there wasn't really an opening for a storyboard artist. Yeah, I'd say, I never assume you know everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Always I mean, to this day, I'm still learning. Boarding on Simpsons is one thing. They definitely have a Simpsons way of doing stuff, but you go to feature and it's a different mindset. You got to treat your boards more cinematically, and think in a more like an action. The camera isn't locked down, and you can really move the camera around and explore the shots. So yeah, it's a different way of thinking.
So that's pretty much around 40 hours a week for you then, yeah?
Easily, yeah.
Maybe 50.
If the like this, we just recently did a parody episode. I won't mention the show that we parodied, but it was definitely a switch in style as far as the way we normally do the show. And when you throw a monkey wrench in the system like that, prepare to work late nights, because it just to get your head wrapped around it usually takes a few days just to get acclimated.
Do you feel like you're getting kind of your creative juices going and your kind of creative needs met working on The Simpsons, or do you maintain a pretty hefty kind of personal practice?
I like Simpsons because it provides me, the financial means to pursue anything else I care to do. I like so many other things that, I'm not just wanting to paint or do stuff like that. I mean, I was going to show you some. I'm a big fan of Halloween.
Yeah, let's see it. I see something in the background there looking pretty freaky.
Well, there's a lot of things back here are freaky, I guess. But this is for Halloween last year, I did a pirate kind of a Pirates of the Caribbean spoof.
Whoa.
Thing. So I had like a couple cannons. So my brother actually carved the cannon. He did it out. He had a giant, what's that called? Lathe machine, wood lathe machine. So he made the body part, but I had to go through and insert these LEDs I was trying to show. I don't know if you can see. There's LED.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put a fog machine in the back end of this thing.
Oh, cool.
So I had like a cannon. I had like two cannons, like a whole show of a pirate ship and a fort in my front yard.
Nice.
With a whole like little show. But I mean, I will spend almost all my free time thinking about, oh, what am I going to do next year?
Okay, cool.
So, it's like, but having a full-time job like this allows me to spend money on dumb stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I am lucky enough to have a supportive wife who appreciates my interest.
Nerding out.
So she's behind me all the way on this.
You play the ukulele too, yeah?
I do.
I see you got a couple of them back there.
Oh, yeah. That one's playable. This one is actually a prop ukulele. It was that
one smashing at the end of the show.
It was there was a that one I have an Olaf standee because by the time I was at Disney, Frozen was just coming out, and so they in the lobby they had brought in this like 8 foot tall fiberglass Olaf statue. Not statue, but it's just a standee anyway. He had a ukulele in his hand, and at that time, while I was at Disney, I had a weekly meetup with other artists, and we would play the ukulele during the lunch hour. And
nice.
So one day I just asked the studio, so what are you gonna do with that Olaf when you guys are done? I'm like, well, I don't know. You want it? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. I'm like, so now I have an 8-foot Olaf in my storage.
Oh, well, there you go, man. There's your Halloween prop right there.
Been trying to unload it. So if anyone watching wants an 8-foot Olaf, please contact Sam King Davis. So that's
just a generous fee for the consultation fee for hooking you guys up.
So that's the ukulele that belongs to that Olaf statue.
I have a ukulele here in my office, and I've had it for like maybe 2 or 3 years now. And I don't know, man. We have a guitar too that has hardly been touched at all in 3 years. I don't know. I guess I don't have the patience, or like it's hard for me to sit down and like I can do it for a couple days or like 3 days or sometimes off and on for a week or so, but then I get involved in another project and I forget about it for 6 months or whatever, and I don't know. Well, I really want to be musical, I really want to play music, but I don't know if it'll ever happen.
If I didn't pursue art, I probably would have pursued music, but I'm definitely much better at art than I am at music.
Yeah.
I learned early on that girls like it when you play the piano or the guitar. Mm-hmm. So I never really took lessons. I tried lessons, but I got bored really quick. But when you talk to a girl on the phone and you start playing on the piano and they're like, "Ooh, what's that?"
Yeah.
Of course, it never really worked for me. It never got me anywhere. But it was always fun to go to a party if the friends had a piano and sit down and play, and of course they request a song or something.
Do you play the piano as well?
Yeah, but unfortunately I can't sing with a damn. So I could play the piano, but as soon as I start singing it was like the crowd would disperse. So
you gotta pull your Tom Waits voice out.
Yeah. Puff a few more cigarettes and knock back some bourbon, and yeah. So but yeah, my wife is a musician, and so she's I think she had a ukulele. I forget why she got a uke. I think she got it for possible, like she just wanted to do some recording with it, and I started messing around with it. Oh my God, this thing's great! I love it. And so I quickly bought 2 for myself.
There's a guy who has a good channel. Oh man, I'm forgetting the name now. I can send you the link. But it's the best training channel online that I can find. I'm surprised he doesn't have more videos. He'd get a lot of viewers, but he does a four camera shot. So there's like one camera is just on him, and then the other camera's on this hand, and the other camera's on that hand, and you get to see it from all the angles.
Sure.
So whatever angle works best for you, and then he's teaching you stuff on the guitar or the ukulele. So he did Carolina by James Taylor, and I almost had that. I don't know why I stopped. I was so close to having that whole song. It was really complicated, but it sounds really cool on the ukulele, you know.
You know, I was just watching. Yeah, I was just watching your interview with Jan, and you guys. And I caught the comment where he said, doesn't really believe in talent. He just believes that, yeah, if you're interested in getting better, you will get better.
Yeah.
That's how I am with instruments, and it's like I have in my head. I visualize myself on stage one day, jamming really loud. I foresee that it will never happen. I don't want it to happen. That is a driving motivation for me to, play musical instruments, to do the storyboards and do, some of the art that I pursue. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Zeppelin sounds really good on the ukulele, by the way. Really. I mean, the music's great for ukulele for sure.
Yeah, I know some George Harrison, obviously a big proponent. So a lot of his stuff, I swear, I'm, this is just my theory, but I think he wrote a lot of his songs initially on a uke. I'm just guessing. I don't know this.
Okay. Well, we're going to call that fact.
So I started to remember because there's some of the songs I'm playing. I'm like, okay, this sounds like this was meant like he did this on the uke and then ended up recording on a guitar or whatever, and but it probably started out on a uke.
So let's talk about existential crisis for a second.
Sure, that's a good transition.
I get this thing every now and then when I look at like an old building, or I just think about kind of like the flow of life. There's this weird thing that happens. I don't know if you've experienced this, but it's like when I look back over, and I suppose I'm getting to that middle age now, so I'm kind of looking back a little bit more. I have more time to look back on. And I just think of these times in my life that are like different lives.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, now I live in Prague, so that's kind of a different life anyway, like a really different life. It's 7 years now in Prague. But then like different stages of my life, like when I think, my teenage years or my early 20s or whatever, it's like that was just a totally different person, And a lot of the stuff I don't even remember. So I guess my question is like that's probably all the drinking. But I guess my question for you is like, do you ever get that thing where you think like you think about like what you're leaving behind, this legacy kind of thing? And I guess you probably have that kind of fulfilled in some way by working on these big influential shows. But I think the thing that's kind of maddening and beautiful about it at the same time is that it's like it really doesn't matter how big we get or like how well or how big of a contribution we make. 50 years from now, 20 years from now, or 20 years after we're dead, nobody's going to remember that.
No.
No. So I don't know. I don't know what the question is, but I'm just wondering if you could relate to that.
I think a lot. Ironically, I have I have a son right now he's 20, going to be 21 this year. 21 during the ISCA convention in Vegas, and I think he's going to come along.
Oh, nice.
So, and he's a couple years into college, and I think he's at this stage where he's he's trying to figure out where he wants to kind of go in college. We've always, ironically, we're probably the only Midwest parents who like encourage their son to pursue art.
Yeah.
But he wasn't sure if he wanted to do that, and that's fine. We will definitely support any interest that he wants. And when we talked to him about it, he's like he doesn't, he's worried about working on doing something that's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we all like that. Just that thought, I guess, is always kind of there. I mean, I don't know if everyone experiences this or not, but yeah, I think um, um, you don't want to be a burden on society. I guess you want to try to help out at least a little bit. And I think I am lucky enough to work on something that, yes, if the day, when I die, say, oh yeah, he worked on that show for a while,
Here lies Ben, worked
and
on The Simpsons.
and it is a easy in. I've never had the gift of gab. I've never really been able to just walk among strangers and just start talking. So to have that Simpsons card has always been an easy thing to talk about. So,
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think having that is, yeah, filled. And I don't want to make it sound too big, but yes, gives me purpose, and so I you didn't really ask a question, so I don't know if I'm making a point.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. No, you're not making any sense, but that's okay. I mean, we love everyone here, so.
This will be your shortest interview yet, down to the essential.
Okay, I gotta go now. Who's that? Oh, I think my wife's calling. Yeah, so so I'm gonna call a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna do the 10 rapid fire questions.
Oh,
So
boy.
we'll be right back.
All right.
And we're back. So
wait a minute. We didn't go anywhere. Wait.
Okay. The hard thing about keeping an interview to an hour is that, like, there's so much other stuff that comes up. I don't think about it until the conversation gets going, and I'm like, oh yeah, what about that? What about that? But I think it's time for the rapid fire questions. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, I guess I did want to just kind of like finish up with what we were saying about your work. Like, is there any illustration stuff or things that you do, like art wise, aside from, making weird cannons and stuff for Halloween?
I don't really pursue freelance. I have like it seems like I've always got a couple people who will occasionally call me up and ask if I want to do some freelance work. Mostly animation. There's actually a company in LA out of Torrance, and I was introduced to this guy, God, probably before 2000, and I'm pretty sure before my son was born. And I have done freelance work for this guy on and off all these years. As of last year, I still work with this guy. I have never met him face to face. I have talked on the phone. I have done Skype meetings. I probably, honest to God, if I walked past him in the street, I wouldn't know who he was, unless he talked. I wouldn't recognize him otherwise.
You meet him and he's like 4 feet tall.
We keep talking, like, because I've come to California once in a while because we got to get together. It's like I know, but and he always seems to, like, he'll call me up like right now I'm on a hiatus from Simpsons, so I'm expecting a call from him any moment now. But he's I've never really had to pursue a work in the illustration or anything because things just always fell in my lap when I needed them. So I think that's one of the reasons I pursued the job I have is I knew I wasn't going to be big on self-promotion, making portfolios, making flyers, doing all that sort of stuff. That never appealed to me. So landing a job in a studio suited me well.
Yeah. So your interests are outside of the studio are pretty much like the ukulele and looks like reading and messing around with Halloween stuff. And
oh, I mean, I'll do some, I do like flash animation, when that was the thing. I jumped on board, flash animation when that came around. And I'll do. I might send you some of that too, but um, I like limited animation style. I'm not, I don't profess to be a Disney animator, um, but I will do that to entertain myself, and I've done some work with Flash animation.
Oh, maybe that's him. Let's see. Oh, here we go. What was your most memorable moment working on The Simpsons, and what advice would you give to anyone who wanted to get into a similar type of show? Greetings from Dublin, Ireland, from Alfred Reed.
Home of the Guinness. Memorable moment. Probably one time going to I guess there was the rap party. Not rap party, premiere party. They would hold them in different spots around town, and I want to say this one was at a blues house of blues.
Nice.
And so we're watching the premiere episode, and my wife and I are standing there. Suddenly, I hear this laugh, very distinctive laugh. I look behind me, and it's Phil Hartman.
Oh, nice.
And this was maybe months before he got shot. So that was but just the moment itself was really probably one of the first times I'm like, oh wow, there are famous people here now. And then months later, of course, when he died, it was like a very significant it became a significant moment to me. So probably not the moment he was hoping to hear about.
Yeah, the time I met the celebrity and he got shot later. Yeah. That was my most memorable moment. Yeah, that's really sad, man. Like my wife actually reminded me of that. I didn't even remember that moment, that blip in history there, but was it his wife that shot him?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. Yeah, those stories are always tragic. Like the Jim Croce, Jim Croce?
Yeah.
Musician, yeah. My wife listens to his music all the time, but he died at like 33. So, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, man, what would have happened if they would have kept going,
No kidding.
But, all right, so here we go. Rapid fire questions. Ready? Have you heard of Drawsome.com? Of course you haven't, because it hasn't officially launched yet. But I have talked to Manny Avatisian, the founder, about it in detail. It's going to be Drawsome. The Drawsome app is an exciting new platform that's coming soon for artists and art lovers that's going to change the game. It's a creative social media marketplace where artists can post your artwork, receive commissions, and even turn each post into a print-on-demand product that's drop-shipped directly to your customers. That means people can choose if they want your design on a print, mug, t-shirt, whatever, and you don't have to deal with the printing or shipping. You want in on that, don't ya? Go ahead and hop over to Drawsome.com, that's DRAWSOME.com, and sign up to be the first to receive updates and news as soon as it's launched on iOS, Android, and web. Go sign up, Drawsome.com, and we'll keep you posted.
Skit.
Okay.
Do I have to give a reason for these? Because I don't.
That's the appropriate answer for a storyboard guy.
Okay. Sure.
Last meal.
The best Mexican food I've ever had, I found here in Omaha, and I lived in Los Angeles, so. And it would be the enchilada poblanas.
Oh man, I just got hungry. There's a place here called Little Mexico in Prague, and it's probably the best most authentic, best Mexican food I've ever had.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is, the guy, I guess it's his mom's, it's like recipes that he got from his mother. And And we actually have a very large Mexican community here, so it's not surprising that the restaurants are here. But it's this little hole in the wall dive. We actually discovered it right when it opened, and man, it's gotten pretty big, and it's never empty. It's always packed, but God, it was some of the best Mexican food I've ever had.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm from St. Louis. I didn't mention that to you, but yeah, we
Nice.
have a big population there that make just this amazing food. They still wear the cowboy hats and the pointy boots and everything. It's
Sure,
so funny, man.
sure.
Like their culture is just like implanted right there. It's great. Okay, what book are you reading?
Oh God, embarrassing question. I
Fifty
nothing,
Shades of Grey?
nothing. I tend to, I'm an audiobook guy myself, to be honest,
Yeah, I
but
like that. Yeah, me
I
too.
have been neglectful in reading, so that's a hard pass. Sorry.
I'm reading the book now, ADHD, Hunters in a Farmer Society. That's pretty fascinating.
Hunters in a Farmer Society.
Yeah, it's about ADHD, attention deficit
Sure,
hyperactivity
sure.
disorder. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really, really good. People probably see my posts on Facebook all the time. I always get a page and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And I put it up. Okay. What is your favorite new band or musician?
Hmm. Actually, I really liked Billie Eilish. Not her current album, but the album that I think it was her debut album. I actually heard it and I'm like, this is really kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I guess current, I would say probably her.
She's
Um,
got a good I watched a couple videos with her. She's got a thing that kind of harks back to the early Busta Rhymes. Like not rap. Obviously she's not really rapping, but like when you look back at the Busta Rhymes videos, the way he did his videos were so kind of like colorful and weird and strange and kind of surreal. And
yeah,
she has the same thing. Like it's like the same color palette almost and the same kind of vibe. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm a fan as well. Um, all right, let's see. This is a new one that I added. You have an opportunity to plug your brain into the internet and instantly access all the world's information at any moment. Do you plug in or do you stay unplugged?
oh, unplugged. God, no, Jesus.
I think the older that you get, the more likely your answer is to be unplugged.
Yeah,
But it's surprising how quickly people volunteer for that. Uh, and that's actually, you'll probably see that in your lifetime. I mean, they're doing human tests this year, so.
of being able to access everything, to know everything.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be that advanced.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably going to take 15 or 20 years to get there, but
No,
it's getting
we
close.
see in we see in here too much right now as is.
Yeah, yeah. But your son will be alive for that. He'll see that.
Yeah, and
So
I think being an older person, I can digest this sort of thing. I can sort of I can sort of ignore what I need to ignore. But I think younger generations, they take it all in and they take it um, take it all so seriously, and it's I don't know.
yeah, there was
At
a
least that's
book
my
that.
observation.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. They take it too seriously. There was a book that came out called The Ecstasy of Communication. It was written by written I think maybe in the 60s or 70s by a French. He was a French philosopher, but he was like a technological guy. It was a really dense book, but all the stuff that he talked about there in there is exactly what's happening. And one of the main things that was that there'll be so much information and people will assume that that's going to make us all smarter, but it's actually will make people stupider because the information will be overloaded and it will be very surface. And that's what I hate about it, man. Like I'm not a headline person, like I want the guts of the story. I want to know who was there, when it happened, why that's
Yeah,
what's interesting about the story, right? So,
and all the opinions and slants and everything that's out there, and it's hard to discern what is the truth, what is the fact.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're trapped on an island. You can only bring one object. What is the object?
The uke.
That's a good answer. It's funny because people don't bring nobody ever says I'm going to bring a Swiss Army knife or canned food or anything. Everyone's like, oh, I think I'll bring my sketchbook or it's like, oh, well, that sketchbook's not going to taste good when you're starving.
Well, if I had a big enough uke, I could use it as a life raft and float my way to safety.
Yeah, that's
So
a good
maybe,
argument.
so maybe one of those, the bass guitar that the mariachi bands played. Maybe that's a better option.
Yeah, you could also use it to like calm the animals, calm the predators.
Lure them to me, then hit them over the head with it.
Yeah, a lot of good uses for use. I never thought of it. It's kind of like the Swiss Army knife, the hippie Swiss Army knife. Okay. This one's really dramatic. You ready? You stand at the precipice, overlooking the treacherous terrain of the creative journey. It's dark, jagged, and mysterious. Behind you stand a whole generation of creatives. You have 30 seconds to distill the best advice before they begin their quest. What do you tell them? Get a job at the Simpsons.
Pursue your interests. Just focus on what you enjoy. Don't worry about what other people think.
Okay, good advice. And you have 1 week to live. Well, how do you spend it?
Oh boy, how do you get around the world in 1 week? A lot of places I'd like to see.
How far have you been?
I've been to Dublin. We went to England back in '97.
Okay.
So I have a brother in Switzerland, the artist one that I followed. So I need to go see him. I need to get there and.
Is he making art?
No, he pursued music.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And actually, to backtrack some, he's the reason I went to Opryland in the first place. He was going into music, so he went down there to it's in Nashville, Tennessee, to pursue music. Landed a job at Opryland as a musician. Told me about this caricature thing that they were doing, and so.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, well, when you come to Switzerland, Prague's not too far away, so you can come and say hi.
I assume there's a train that can take you there?
Yeah, there's a train.
That
There's
would
a
just be
train and
awesome.
a bus. Probably take the bus. The buses are nicer.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, usually in the Czech Republic they are anyway. Yeah, usually you get a TV and you get the comfy seats and they give you free coffee or water or whatever.
No kidding. Oh God,
Yeah.
the bus system here is horrible. I would never take the bus.
Yeah, like the Greyhound criminal line.
No, I made that mistake a long time ago, and like, oh my God, they just take forever, and
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, well, the buses are really good here and they're pretty cheap too. I think I can get from Prague to Dresden, which is about 90 minutes and back for something like $25. And yeah, and that includes the I mean it's crappy coffee, but it's free coffee and,
Sure,
and
sure.
so whatever. That's good with me.
Wow.
Yeah. So how can people find you or do you want to be found?
You'd asked about is there anything I want to promote? I'm like, I don't really need to because I'm not really pursuing freelance work or anything. I mean, I have the benlane.com website, so but I certainly am open to anyone contacting me if they're interested in working in animation and want to know more. I have no problems answering questions.
Okay, cool.
Um,
And yeah, come to Ben's house on Halloween.
Definitely.
Get some candy. What are you gonna do next year? COVID theme?
Well, I had like 2 years ago, I made like a shooting gallery, and I was so excited to expand on that last year, and of course that was a big womp womp. So I don't know. I always wanted to do like a circus type theme,
Nice.
and I may pull the trigger on that one this year. We'll see. I've done the pirates thing for so long that I'm kind of ready to retire it.
I I love circus themed stuff. Like I love the circus aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely one of my things, yeah.
I mean, I've had it's always been in the back of my mind. So I every once in a while will try to work up how could I pull this off for Halloween? Could I get this? And the problem that comes is where the hell will I put it?
Yeah.
I have a very small garage, so
Okay.
run out of room.
Nice. Cool. Is there any famous last words?
Oh, God. See, no.
Okay, Ben Lane, everybody. Thanks for watching. You want to play a ukulele song before we go? That sounds good. That ook sounds great. Cool. Well, it's good talking to you. It's good to get to know you a little bit better. I didn't know you were from the Midwest. Maybe that's
Yeah,
why I like you.